Got to change an airbag. The mechanic at work had one. He says he believes this is the right one for it. He says try that, if not bring it back. I ordered a couple more from Freightliner. You got to get one of these pliers. Different places sell them different kinds. This one's a Harbor Freight one. I don't remember what I paid, not a whole heck of a lot. I think around $15 if I remember. Anyway, you got to get one of these things. It's a hose clamp. It's good for airlines. I don't know about fuel lines because you got steel braiding in those most of the time, but it might work on one if it didn't have steel braiding. It works on water hoses, heater hoses, stuff like that. When you have an emergency, it'll get you through to a better stopping point. Anyway, what happened here is this plate came off. It was never welded on real good. It just had a small weld right here, on here, and I don't know if there's any more welds on it or not. I'm going to take this off. But that clamp, I put that on the airline when it broke, and you got to do that right underneath these rivets because that pivots. So you want to put your air hose here, not here or here, because loosen up and your clamp will fall off. So you want to put it here, and it's best to have some duct tape or something handy to wrap around and tie it on there, so that if your clamp does come loose off the hose, you don't lose it. So I got this off of there. In my case, it was a 5/8 wrench. I brought a 9/16 with me. I wasn't sure. But it's like a 5/16 airline, or maybe 3/8. I'm not sure which. But there's the airline up there, and so I got that off of there, and now I just got 2 3/4 bolts under here, and I'm going to zip those off real quick with the impact here, and then we'll crawl off from under here and go about cleaning this plate up. But I don't want to mark it up too much, because I don't want to have to figure out where it goes again. So I'm gonna draw some marks on there with a pen or chalk or something before I grind it, because I got to grind it smooth to weld it, and but I got to draw some lines on there and up here so that I know where to mount this thing, so I don't have to figure out and calculate where to mount it again. I'm going to use the old position and just clean up where it needs to be welded at and weld it back on. Got that off of there. I had to tap the bottom part here. Had to tap that with a hammer a little bit to get it loose. There's some dirt in there. I'm gonna drag this thing out. I did spray the sprayed the bolts on the bottom, and I sprayed this before I took it off of there. All right, I got this thing clamped in the vise, make it easier for me. Of course, you got to do this with this frame, with this thing welded on the frame normally, but since it broke off, we're going to just clamp it here. You got to take this fitting, this reducer out of here. That's just threaded in there, and then we got to thread it into this one. And so then I got to take this nut here off of there, and it's always been fun getting these off. I think it's actually easier to take them off this way and weld this thing back on than it is fighting with all this where I can't see it up above my head on the truck, on the trailer. I'm just going to wrap a little piece of tape on here. If you don't have any of this Teflon tape, you know, a little dab of silicone gasket sealer will be better than nothing. Just wrap it on there like that, and then go ahead and thread that in. Snug it down. These these here threads look like they got boogered up a little bit. I'm going to get a thread chasing file and clean that up. Well, I had to go around and around with these files trying to find out which one fits, and found out the size it fits turned out to be number 16. Where is it? Right there it is. That's the one that fits. So I can go on ahead and file these threads where they got boogered up. I'll need 2 hands for that. 1 1/16 fits this nut pretty good here. Go ahead and break that off, break it loose, get that off of there. Now I did take a wire brush and clean the worst of this off of those threads, and I am going to put a little dab of oil on it because I got to reuse that nut. I don't know if this one came with the nut originally or not, but the way I received it, it did not, so I got to reuse that nut. I got to make sure we don't mess up the threads on it. Well, I don't know if this will show up on camera or not, but just finding myself some marks on here to know how to line this up so I don't have to recalculate where this thing should go. I'm just going to stick it where it was. And we got paint, red paint, from here on down all the way across. This is the old weld here that broke off. The red paint goes all the way up to here. From last time I had to do any painting on the trailer, this must have gotten some on it. So that line right there, and then over here, from here across here and up to here, there's a color difference and a straight line going across, and it's about 4 inches across. So that's going to be about where the other side of the frame rail is. So I'm gonna mark that all the way across here, mark this all the way across here. I'm not going to grind this weld off. I'm going to leave it there. I'll grind into it just a little bit so none of it's in my way, and I'll just weld on either side of that, and then it'll get another weld up here, and if I can reach this one over here, it'll get one on that side between this and the frame on the bottom of the frame. It'll get 3 or 4 extra welds. This only had 1 apparently, and that obviously wasn't enough. I've got this kind of cleaned up, ground down a little bit where I'm going to weld it at, and like I said, I did not knock this weld completely off because I want to use it as a guiding point up here in case I'm able to reach some of this to weld, which is going to be really tricky, and I don't think it's necessary, but I got a couple of spots up there in case I can reach them. That's where my frame was, but on the edge I got it cleaned up from here around here where the frame, you know, the frame beam comes underneath that, so I can weld the edge of this to the frame, to the bottom of the beam there, and I just use this as a guideline. I just scratch that on, watching from this side. I just scratch that on there so I can see the frame to line it up, and then I'll just clamp this on with a clamp, a vice grip or a C-clamp or something, and get it in position, and then go ahead and weld it on. Got this in a good position to weld this up over here, and then let me take a peek underneath, and there's a spot I didn't even know about that was welded before, and it broke there. We'll clean that up a little bit with the grinder. I'm not going to take this back down and then position it again. I'll just take the little hand grinder, a little 4-inch grinder, and touch that up a little bit so that I can put a little weld over the top of that. And then of course, since I'm going to weld all the way around these things here, I'm going all the way around the outside of that plate there onto the frame. That's a lot more weld than it had. It only had 2 little welds, the one outside there and then this one here. That's all it had, but it lasted a long time with that, but they're broken off now. I'm going to use a stick welder on this since that's the closest thing I got handy. MIG welder There's one in there, but it's not set up, and it'd be a hassle getting it out. Have to roll it out the back and move a bunch of stuff out of the way. So I just took the grinder and cleaned off a little spot right there. The side of the clamp with the wire on it is the side I'm going to put on that, and I can't grind the other side. It's not the ideal place to ground it. I should ground it on the same piece of metal I'm welding on and close to the work, but that's not an option. So all this stuff's welded together. It'll ground through all these welds anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and weld that. I'm not going to do it on video, but I'll show what I did afterwards. Alright, I jacked this up a little bit. All my wheels are on it, so if the jack was to come out of there, it can't go down very far. But I just had to get a little bit of space here. I mean, you jack it up the way you want to. This is the way I wanted to jack it up. Now what I had to do to get this in, I had to jack it up to get it to fit in between these two plates. But my valve up here, my air inlet up here, I just had to compress this. I need two hands to do it. But I grabbed the top of this with two hands, one here and the other hand over here, and I pulled down, and it compressed enough that I can slide it in and get that that fitting to go up through that hole. And so now that it's in there, all I got to do now is find my bottom holes, put my bolts in there, get them lined up, and then go on ahead and put my nut and washers and stuff on this top one. I just got to feel for it. Put the flat washer up there, the lock washer, and then the nut, and go on ahead and get all that part done, and then put my air hose on it, and then I am done. Well, I got to tighten these up down here, but first I got to find the holes, put the bolts in it. That's common sense. Alright, I think I'm going to wind this video up at this point. I can show, I did get a weld on there, got one on here, and I got some welds up here,